Hello everyone, welcome to Jackie Does Stuff. I'm Jackie and I do stuff, and today I want to show you finally something that I've wanted to show you for a little while, how to make DIY fire starters. Check it out. So credit where it's due, I would love to tell you where I found this instructions on how to make this, but I found it on Pinterest a long time ago and I can't find who did it. So if it was you, I'm so sorry. I didn't come up with this myself. So I have here a pot of water. I have an egg carton that's full of like dryer lint, but it's not actually full. It's just a little bit in each cup. You can fill it as much as you want, but I found that it actually works better if you don't use that much of it. I've also cut off the tops of the egg cartons and I keep them to hang on to the loose pieces. And then that is some 100% cotton crochet yarn. That is a bowl that I use just for melting wax in. And then over here is all of my candle ends. You can of course just get rid of these like a normal person, but I am not a normal person and I don't like wasting anything. So here I am putting on that water to boil. It's probably a little overkill actually because the whole burner turns on and it only takes a couple of minutes to bring it to a boil. So once it does, I lower the temperature just a little bit. It doesn't need to be super boiling the whole time. It just needs to be hot. And then we're going to just go ahead and put the bowl on top of the water. And then that is where we're going to do our melting in. If you have a double boiler, you can also do that. I have a double boiler, but I use it for like food. If you're going to melt wax in stuff, then just have that be what it's for. Now, these tea lights are actually pretty easy to get out of here. You can kind of just bend the metal that it's in, and you can kind of just dump it on in there. Sometimes the little metal kind of wick thing will get in there as well, but with this it's okay because you can actually just not pour it in. You can just wipe it out with a paper towel afterwards. That's what I do. What I was trying to do here is I was trying to melt some of that wax in those other containers. That's a little bit more difficult to do. With the tea lights, it's easy. You can kind of just crack the metal and put them in the bowl, but those other things you need to actually like spend some time heating up. And make sure that you kind of give it a swirl often like I do. I'm holding it, I have an UV glove on, so I'm not touching the bowl with my bare hands. That would not be a very smart move. And I have just combined all of the wax together to create this not very appealing brown color. Oh, yep, see, those are the wick holders there. And I'm literally now just going to pour a little bit of the wax into each of the little cups. And again, you can kind of like, you could fill those cups if you want. I've done that as well, but I find that it works. These things work a little bit better actually if you exercise a little restraint. If you don't try to fill it. If you just kind of like put a little bit of dryer lint in there and then just kind of like soak it a little bit with the wax, that actually works fantastically. So with that in mind, this is not exactly a 100% eco-friendly pattern because the wax is probably fine, but it may not, depending on the scent and the coloring. The dryer lint may not be because it depends on largely what your clothes are made out of. But the 100% cotton cloth, that should be totally fine. And here we are. Here they are now dried a little bit. So what I do now is I just take the scissors, and you could use probably a utility knife, but I never have, and I was not in the mood to try something new. And you just cut them, you cut them each into little pieces, and then also you have to cut them a little bit to make 4 flaps in them, and it will kind of depend on the shape that they were in where you cut them. Then what I do is I take some lengths of this cotton cord. That's actually a little long. I should have done maybe like 1.5 arm lengths, but you do you. I'm a tall person, so my arm is probably going to be longer than yours. And then I fold the string in half, and then at the bite, the kind of folded part of the string is where I will put the fire starter. So I fold the 4 flaps in on each other to make these adorable little kind of parcels, and then I just tie it up. The way that I do it here is my favorite way of doing it, but of course you could tie it however you like. So what I do is I take the 4 flaps and I fold them down, and I just pick the flap that I think looks the best, and I have that be on the outside. And then I take the bite of the string and I put it over the flap, and then I kind of turn it around. You'll see what I mean by that as we get in here. It's too bad that I filmed the first one that I did, because the first one is always the worst. You definitely get a rhythm as you go on. But yeah, you hold it down on the top, and then you take your hands and you twist it. I like to twist it twice, and then bring it up the sides, so that way it's kind of like wrapping a gift, I guess. And then you just do a regular overhand knot on the top to hold it down. Now, I should say while I'm doing this that when you light this, you definitely, well, first of all, you obviously want to not light this on anywhere that you don't want to be burned. So light it on a scorch-proof surface only. Light it in an ashtray or like out in a fire pit or something. I really wouldn't mess around with these. These are extremely flammable, obviously. That being said, when you do light it, the cotton yarn, the crochet yarn, is not going to be a wick. You might think that it will be because of the way that it looks, that you might want to light that. Don't bother. You can just go ahead and light. The way I like to light it is in one of the corners there. Sometimes you can see like the wax sticking out through the side. I like to light it there. That's probably the most candle-like part of it. And once you have it lit, it should stay lit for like 5 or 10 minutes. Like, it's a pretty powerful little device there. And I like to bring these camping. I like to use these for burning incense. I like to use these for all sorts of things. And it's one of my favorite ways of not wasting stuff, like candles that I use all the time. And here they are, the finished little pieces. Right after this, I'm going to stick it right in the bag where they go, and I'm going to bring them camping. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends, tell your enemies, tell anybody who will listen, and I will see you in the next one.